Let's go ahead and we're gonna
edit photos.
We asked people to send in raw photos. Some of them didn't. Some of them sent in edited images. But for those of you who sent in unedited or raw, here's take a look at our first one.
Yeah, CR2, so it's a Canon file.
Yep, it's a Canon file, CR2. Ann Varley sent in this. Thank you, Ann, for sending this in. So where would we start with this? For years, I told people not to do this thing, which is click the auto button, because it used to be just the greatly overexposed my photo button, but it's been using AI for a number of years now. But you have two AI options now, so let's consider both for this photo. The first one, it's either or, you can't use both, right?
Yeah.
So the first one
you're gonna go to the profile.
is to just click auto.
Yeah.
And auto does, as for a starting place, it actually does a pretty good job in most cases. Let's just click auto and see where we wind up. That's not terrible.
Not bad, yeah.
That's not bad.
Yep.
But now you need to consider something else. Let's hit reset.
Yeah, this is a new one.
And this is a relatively new one. It's a more, well, Adobe says it's more advanced, but I've had mixed results with it.
I have too.
Sometimes auto looks better. Sometimes adaptive color looks better. There's two of them, actually. There's adaptive color, and then there is adaptive black and white. So there's both of them, and you're only going to try, in this case, of course, adaptive color. This looks like an image that was made for color. So let's try adaptive color and see how that looks.
Yeah.
That actually...
When you consider that is the starting point for the file.
Right, but there's an advantage to the adaptive color. If it looks good, there's an amount slider. There is no amount slider where there's two advantages, right? All right, so let's we increase this, and you're just increasing the juice. You're like how much impact it has on your photo, right? All right. Now, but there's another big thing. So let me undo this, and I want to show you, and I hope this is an eye-opening thing for you, because this is really big. If I hit auto, look at the sliders.
Yeah.
It moves the sliders into position.
Yeah.
So it looks at the photo and says, I think to make this thing look, you would do these adjustments. Let's undo that. What's different about using the adaptive profile? The adaptive profile, which is, again, AI-based, but supposedly a more advanced, watch.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't move any sliders.
Look, the sliders haven't moved.
It's doing it at the raw profile level.
Right. It's doing it at the raw profile level, so it's not really adjusting the sliders. So now you're starting on second base, basically.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
So honestly, it is quite good. So what would I do next? Well, I would do this. I ask myself this question. I say, what do I wish were different? Just looking at the photo, what do I wish was different of this photos of Ann's? Well, I think the sky is too bright. Now, this is not Ann's fault as a photographer. This is the sensor. So your sensor is either going to make the sky look good or the foreground look good. It's not going to do them both, because the human eye does this wonderfully well. The sensor in your camera does not do it as well. The human eye will balance this.
Yes.
You wouldn't stand there and you look at some real dark thing like this. You're like, I can't see anything. You know, you would see it fine because your eye has such an incredible range, but your sensor only has a fraction of that. So I would work on the sky first.
Now, before you move on, though,
yes,
Scott,
sir.
is because you did the adaptive now, the one thing, and I know you talk about but the point to make clear is you don't hit the auto once you do the adaptive.
No,
in fact, Adobe does have a dialog box.
Yeah, a warning will come up that says, "Look, choose one or the other."
Yeah,
you're choosing auto or you're choosing adaptive, but you ain't getting both.
You ain't getting both.
So you're going to choose one or the other. Try them both and see one looks better.
This adaptive thing is pretty cool.
It is cool, but sometimes it looks worse. It just depends on the photo. But again, this is something, because it's so AI based, they're going to be tweaking it, and it has machine learning. It'll get better and better. All right. So the first thing I would do is let's work on the sky. So I would go over here to the masking button over here, or the masking icon, and of course right there, sky. Choose sky. Now, generally what you're going to wind up doing is simply just lowering the exposure, but there's more than that. I would start by lowering the highlights in the sky. Now, the red area was showing you what it masked, and it goes away as soon as you touch a slider. So I would kind of bring this back. Actually, just lowering the highlights is doing a pretty good job. We could lower the exposure a little if you want that really nice blue sky, and you could raise the contrast as well. Now, the one thing that, and I want you to be careful about this when you're editing images, notice how the clouds are starting to look kind of like rain clouds. So that's when I go back in with the whites and try to whiten that back up. So I want the richness of the blue, right? But I don't want the sky to look kind of meh. Now, there's one other trick you can do. You can roll down here to temperature and push more blue into the sky by dragging the temperature slider to the left and blue it up. So somewhere like that. So now that sky, let's just look at the sky itself by going here to this little eyeball in the masking panel. You can see how far we've come. Now, I might have gone a little too dark with it. Let's go and let's, I'm going to take the exposure back up.
That's usually what happens, though.
Yeah.
As you go too far and then you pull it
And
back.
you look at it and go, okay, all right, I think that looks a bit better. Now, do you see what's happening over here? We've got some glows and stuff. You're going to have to fix that in Photoshop. That is something you got to fix in Photoshop. It would be very hard to fix in Lightroom, if not impossible. So it's a trip to Photoshop. But I'm going to move on to what I would do next, which is the foreground. Now, there is a new feature in Lightroom, and this was what introduced last week.
A couple weeks, last week, maybe 2 weeks.
Maybe 2 weeks. I don't know.
10 days. Maybe.
Some time ago, they introduced a new feature. So let's go and create a new mask, and you'll notice at the very
one.
There is a new thing called what? Select landscape. And when you choose that, it's going to look at the image and see what landscape is in here. Well, there's a sky. Run your cursor over it. There's a mountains, and then there is the natural ground. So did a pretty good job there. And so, but if you want all of that, see, I think I would do I want the mountains in the distance.
I mean, you might just be able to.
Well, I can unmask all the rest. But let's just go and say we're going to take the natural ground.
Well, actually, that natural ground one, if you go to natural ground, and then that one has the mountain in the back.
Oh, okay.
But then you just have to wipe out the stuff in the foreground.
Yeah. All right. So we'll just leave that for now. Just hit create mask. And so it selected all the areas that you see in red. And I think we probably want to open up the shadows here a bit because it's kind of dark. I'm trying to just basically balance. That worked better than expected.
And then you probably kill some highlights in the back.
Yeah. Let me lower the highlights a bit.
Ain't doing it.
See, it's helping that mountain back there. Yeah. That's all I wanted to do was to the mountain. And then let's talk about the white slider. So I want you to think of the white slider for two things. Number one, it brings back brilliance to your photo. So it makes clouds white. It makes things, it kind of adds like a brilliance, if that's even a word, right? I mean, it's a word, but it makes sense. It adds brilliance. The other thing is it works great for night photography, for turning on the lights. If you shoot a city and you're like, oh, I wish all the lights in the buildings were brighter. The white slider is like, it's like a dimmer. Like you can just turn up the light. So I love it at night and I love it for here. So I'm going to turn up the whites a bit just to add some more brilliance to the photo. You see how it does that? Like it just adds a little bit more brilliance. And then I think we could go down here and add a little bit of texture. Go a little further. Keep going. Keep going.
There it is.
There's texture. We could just, make sure we got lots of nice texture in the rocks and in the ground and stuff. And I think, is there anything else that we really need? I mean, in reality, I would probably put a little hint of a vignette on it. So let's go back to our regular thing, go to the effects panel and add just a little bit of vignette, not so much that you would really know it's there. My favorite number is -11. And so watch the difference here. Let me just show you. Here's before and after. Now, you don't really notice the vignettes there until you go, oh, yeah, I see it now. But it does kind of focus your attention towards the middle. And I think that's not bad. Let's take a look at the side by side. And we didn't do a whole lot of acrobatics, right, to get there.